What is going on, everybody? It is Bloodshed. He's Al Mac. I'm Bleed. And we're here to talk about not just the main card of UFC Vegas 31, baby. We're going full card tonight. We had 10 fights. We said, let's bring the people what they want. And you know what the people want, Al? They want more Bloodshed content. So we're doing the damn thing. Here we go. It's time to get it done. Al, this was an absolutely spectacular night for me. I mean, I sent out to the Patreon members so many good plays, cashed so many good bets. I mean, it was just unreal. A night you absolutely dream of. And I just got to keep it real. Your boy's just on fire, okay? I absolutely lit up Bellator last night. Come in here thinking, you know what? I feel pretty good. I think I'm going to be pretty hot this week. Tore through UFC. Al, what did you think of this card overall? How are you doing on this Saturday night?
I'm doing pretty good. I don't know. I didn't do very well tonight. We'll obviously get into it, but it was one of those cards where I just had a gut feeling. I tweeted it out at about like 6:15 when I heard that there was going to be a limited amount of fans. I was like, you know what? There's going to be some unders. And what do you know? 8 of the 10 fights went. 8 of the 10 fights ended by stoppage. 6 of the 10 went under the betting total. A couple of them went over, but still didn't go the distance. Yeah, man, it was a super, super interesting card. Definitely a sneaky, starting at 7 o'clock, like that like classic pay-per-view time. It's 1:15 my time. It feels like this could be like a pay-per-view night, but it was what it was. There was a decent boxing event that I was able to make some money off of to get back what I lost in UFC. But yeah, I'm down to let's talk about all 10 fights.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Al, you kind of gave it the perfect segue. We've continuously talked on this show about when there's fans in the crowd, we see more finishes. Yet again, here we are. And I bring that up because this was at the Apex. We had not had fans at the Apex for a year. I mean, beyond a year. And sure enough, they bring them in. Like you said, man, 8 of 10 fights finish. Let's get right into it, Al. The first fight of the night, prelims kicking it off. Rodrigo Nascimento KOs Alan Baudot, 1 minute, 29 seconds into the second round. Yeah, Al, this was a story of 2 different rounds. I mean, Nascimento goes out there, looks bad, slow start. Baudot wins round 1, which I was quite surprised. I just don't think Baudot's very good. I had Nascimento inside the distance. Felt like it was a pretty good play. Didn't see this one going to the scorecards. I felt like Nascimento was the better guy. I felt like he was live for a KO. I felt like he was live for a sub. I said, let me get my hands on both of these. Sure enough, Nascimento gets it done. I mean, I got to be a little bit critical. Just didn't look good. The guy is a slow starter. If you can get out here and jump on Nascimento early, you can get him out. And honestly, he almost got finished. I mean, he was rocked a couple times. He did not look good. Goes back, gets coached up, comes out in that second round as hot as can be, puts it on Baudot, finishes the fight. Al, what did you think of this one, man?
Yeah, I had Baudot because this is just a typical me fight. You give me 2 lower-ranked heavyweights in the UFC, and you give me one guy who's a plus 270 underdog. I'm going to take him. And he looked good through 5 minutes, and then basically, I don't know what his quarter said to him, but it definitely worked because he just looked like a completely different fighter coming out in that second round. It is what it is, man. Honestly, I'll make that bet every single time. I didn't really see much. I didn't see much out of Nascimento for him to be like a minus 350 favorite here.
Fair enough.
He got the win, but it's just this is just one of those cards. It was just a story of the card where I went the value route, and it ended up costing me in the long run. But this heavyweight bout, probably the fight that I lost that I regret the least, because one more minute of fighting in that fifth round, or in that first round, and I feel like Badou probably would have got Nascimento out of there.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a super solid bet round one. I mean, a couple times Nascimento looked like almost out on his feet, real lackadaisical, recovers well. Man, I don't know. Nascimento wins the fight, but I don't feel like his stock really gains a lot. The blueprint's out there at this point, and Daukaus in his last fight absolutely exploited it. You come out hot on this guy, you're probably going to get him out in that first round. And as far as Badou, this guy just ain't it. He ain't it. I mean, and Badou's inverse, comes out hot, looks like he's got a round in him, because honestly, I almost feel like he went back to his corner, said, well, I didn't get him out of there first round. Guess it's time to go out there and lose. I mean, it was just it's just a world of difference. That minute on the stools, changed this fight. It's all Badou round one, and it's all Nascimento round two. And that's just all there was to it. So Rodrigo Nascimento gets the win. I really don't know what I think of this guy, though. Definitely going to err on the side of caution going forward. Is there anything you want to add to this one, Al, before we move on?
No, let's go to the next one. The next one was a rare one that I hit right on the nose.
Beautiful. Malcolm Gordon, unanimous decision victory over Francisco Figueiredo. So from a gambling standpoint, man, I had nothing on this one, Al, and I got to tell you, dude, now don't get me wrong. Do I wish I had a bet on Malcolm Gordon? Do I wish I had cashed that big plus money like you did? Of course I do, right? But, man, Al, I'm not sure how, but I can smell the stink of a heavy favorite who is going to lose. I don't know how. It's just as simple as this. Francisco Figueiredo, minus 300 or beyond, was just an outrageously terrible price, regardless of the durability factors going on with a Malcolm Gordon. And Malcolm Gordon, honestly, was like a pretty popular underdog play this week. I guess I understood it. You know what I mean? Francisco Figueiredo is not that guy. I mean, he's not Davison Figueiredo, and he showed it tonight. Malcolm Gordon, I felt like if Gordon was going to win, he was probably going to find the sub, but it's a fight he needed to win. Malcolm Gordon was probably getting his walking papers if he lost this fight tonight. Really came out, really performed, way beyond anything we've seen. And I take my hat off to the guy. And also, man, I take my hat off to you betting him. That's, I thought was a pretty ballsy play. Like I said, I couldn't back either side of this fight, I felt like. But Malcolm Gordon gets it done. I said it was Walmart Figgy versus Dollar Store Mighty Mouse. Dollar Store Mighty Mouse gets it done, man. I still question the guy's durability, but I'll put it like this. The guy didn't get hit a lot. His chin never really got tested tonight, and that's how you beat the guy. So if he's not eating shots, I guess he's live to win a fight. He gets it done. Al, what'd you feel on this one?
This was not only did I have Gordon, but this is one of those ones where it's a flyweight fight, and the over 1.5 was at like minus 115, and so I bet over 1.5 as well as fight goes the distance. Yes, so those were the two shining spots for me, and I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter who's in there. If you get two. Not elite level flyweights, and you put them in there, there's no way, that the over 1.5 rounds should be at that price, because, you just look at how many of these fights end in the first round, unless it's, with flyweights, unless it's Davison Figueiredo. It's very rare that we see these first round finishes at flyweight. So that was a home run spot for me, because I was super confident. It's just one of those things when you got a huge favorite, the market thinks that he's just going to blow him out of the water. But you look at the division, you look at the size of these guys, and Figueiredo, Francisco Figueiredo, he doesn't have that, he's not flyweight Francis like his brother. He doesn't have that one touch and you're out power. So and Malcolm Gordon, extremely tough guy, very tough guy. So I was very confident, especially, the over 1.5, you bet a little bit more on that. So once you hit that, the fight goes the distance, yes, at like pretty big plus money. I forget what it was offhand, but up in like the plus 150 range. It's pretty much free money at that point because you've already won the over 1.5. So yeah, that was that was a good one. And then for Francisco Figueiredo, I think we probably do see him again just because he's Figgy's brother, and he's probably managed by Waleed, who we'll talk about in a second, who showed his face there at the Amanda Lemos fight. But yeah, if he was anybody else, he'd be cut. But because he's a Figueiredo, we'll probably see him at least have one more chance at getting himself a win. And he probably should move up to bantamweight if it looks like cutting weight is hurting him, because it just seems like both those guys have brutal weight cuts. And I wouldn't be shocked to see him at bantamweight. What do you think?
He's got to do something. First off, he just needs to be a better fighter. Like I talked earlier tonight on the Final Countdown that we just consistently see this sibling situation where one's elite or a high level guy and the other one's just not. And it's just incredibly apparent. Francisco Figueiredo is nothing special, will probably never be anything special. And the guy lost to Malcolm Gordon as a massive favorite tonight. This is just a guy that, from a gambling standpoint, it almost impossible to trust at this point. And man, I what else can you say? Props to Malcolm Gordon. Al, great bet on Malcolm Gordon tonight. What do you think? Should we keep it rolling?
Yeah, let's keep it rolling.
Ooh, buddy. Al, this one I really liked. Man, I got to be honest. I hit a lot of, maybe a lot's not the right word. I hit a bunch of plus money plays tonight. Definitely cashed on literally every underdog I bet. And I kicked it off with Sergey Morozov. He gets the unanimous decision win over Khalid Taha. This was a dominant performance, man. I felt like this fight was going to play out way closer than it was. But Sergey Morozov, coming off the loss to Umar Nurmagomedov, who, you guys heard what I just said, right? Nurmagomedov. I think he took it on short notice. Sergey comes in here and looks just spectacular, okay? The better striker, the better wrestler, goes in here, handles his business, and just looked phenomenal. And Al, I got him, like I said, he's the underdog, good plus money. Interestingly enough, this was a bet that I actually had some concern about, I think Khalid Taha is a pretty good fighter, had a fairly close bout with Raoni Barcelos, who, is a top-level bantamweight, right? I felt like this was going to be a really close fight. I even said I could have seen this one go into a split decision. Sergey Morozov is just the better guy, and props to anybody who bet this guy as an underdog tonight, because he ain't going to be an underdog next fight. I can about guarantee you that. Of course, it's all matchup specific, right? But this dude's got the skills to pay the bills, all right? Good striking, phenomenal wrestling. Every time he put Taha on his back, it was just a wrap. It's just we're Taha's needing to hear the horn to get back on his feet. Sergey Morozov comes out and fights like this. We're talking about a top 10 guy. Sky could be the limit. I was very impressed with the performance of Sergey Morozov. Cashed an underdog ticket, and it's one of the, like I said, this is one of those fights where for some reason throughout the week I kind of lost a little bit of confidence, and I don't know why. But the point I'm trying to make is, gut feeling or not, you put your money in a solid position. It doesn't matter, win or lose. This was a good bet tonight, and man, the fight just plays out. It was really one-sided. Khalid Taha lands 2-3 good shots, and it's just all one-way traffic. Al, what'd you think?
Yeah, I had Khalid Taha, and this was one of those fights, just the classic. As soon as the fight started, I knew that he was in trouble and that my bet was going to lose because he just had nothing. He had no answer to Morozov, and yeah, I totally agree with you. He's got, yeah, this guy could be the limit. He probably needs a test or two, but he needs to be a little bit higher on like another card like this, on another fight night card, and then we could start talking about getting him a ranked fighter opponent. He probably needs a win or two more, or maybe just one more win. But yeah, he was incredibly impressive and super frustrating to have a bet against tonight.
Well, I tell you what, Al, I got the Habib hat. This dude keeps this up, I'm going to be wearing one of those dope-ass sombreros like he does at the end of the fight. Hey, after that performance, man, I'm very high on this guy. You know what? And looking back on it, you know, Khalid Taha, a guy that, you know, and I brought this up, you know, a guy that got popped on PEDs, right? Like, he was on the sauce. My goodness, the physique on Khalid Taha had me wondering if he was on that next level undetectable stuff. That dude looks so yoked. That's probably what started shaking my confidence, honestly, was just how physically good Khalid Taha looked. I mean, the guy looks better now off the sauce. I say air quotes, off the sauce, than he did before. So, man, Khalid Taha, all of a sudden, this guy's on a 2-fight losing streak. You cannot be losing 3 in a row. You know what I mean? But hey, Morozov, wow, what a performance. Let's move on to this next one here. We had, oh, buddy, Al, you want to talk big confidence? Now, don't get me wrong. She's a huge favorite. But this was a rare double up for me. Amanda Lemos, 35 seconds into round 1, takes out the bunny, Montserrat Ruiz. All week, I felt like this was a huge mismatch. I felt like Montserrat Ruiz, who really only wins fights with a head and arm throw and then kind of just leans on it, which, hey, don't get me wrong. You can win some fights in the UFC, and she did. She cashed as an underdog against Cheyenne Bays in her debut, right? A big underdog. This ain't that spot, okay? Amanda Lemos, you know, loses her UFC debut, again, I think on short notice, to God, what's her name? Leslie, who cares? She's in Bellator. But what I'm getting at is up 2 divisions, right? This is a legit contender here at 115, okay? Amanda Lemos, I've said it many times on the show. I hate doubling up on a fight. It's just something that really doesn't work out for me for whatever reason. I was on Lemos heavy tonight. Had her in a parlay, right? Had her inside the distance. And here's what blows my mind. Honestly, Al, I think the best bet that was available on this card tonight, which obviously hindsight's 2020. Amanda Lemos, I got it plus 105 inside the distance. And she just goes out there and, I mean, there's been breezes that have put up more of a fight than what we saw. Goes out there, handles business. Rare form power. For women's 115 pounds, Amanda Lemos brings a level of power. I think it's probably a match. I'm struggling to think of anyone in the 115-pound division that's bringing the ability to hurt people, put them down, and put out their lights like Amanda Lemos. I'm about as high on her as it gets right now, and I think this is a money train opportunity. Is she going to be a heavy favorite in her next fight? Almost absolutely. Is she going to continue to get ducked? Absolutely. The biggest problem I think we're going to see for Amanda Lemos is the ability to get other fighters to sign on the dotted line. Who in the world wants to get in there and deal with that? I think we might be looking at a future title contender. Dare I say, maybe even a champion. She's really seemed to got lightning in a bottle here, Al. And like I said, I'm just as high as can be on her. What did you think of this fight?
Yeah, I was normally like I'm a big fan of Montserrat Ruiz. And normally I would jump at it, especially from having cashed on her before. I would jump at a spot again at almost plus 400 to back her, but not against Amanda Lemos. And I had under 1.5 rounds in this one, which is easy money. And this was, for women's MMA, that's probably one of the most brutal knockouts I've seen as of late. And I saw people that were complaining about that stoppage. She was out. She didn't know where she was. She was completely out. She was standing, but that, if you look at her, she looks extremely tough, Montserrat Ruiz. So I'm not surprised that she didn't flatline, but she didn't know where she was. And Amanda Lemos she's a problem. And it's like
big time.
People are going to duck her, where they're going to have to either be forced to fight, or we're going to have to get somebody off of a type of a losing streak where they can't say no. Waleed Ismail cutting the promo on her behalf at the end was just hilarious. And I want to see what she actually said versus what he said, because she was probably just like, thank you for my win. And he just cut like a classic Ishmael wrestling promo, pointing at the camera.
Yeah,
it was great. And that's we need more of that, he's just like a classic manager heel. He's great. He makes the sport better, especially with women's MMA. It needs more of that with the girls who don't speak English as clear. But that was a great performance, and I don't know. I hope that she got a bonus for that. That's got to be right. That's got to be a bonus, like 100%. That's got to be a bonus performance.
I mean,
I'm gonna look.
How that's not a performance of the night is beyond me. Listen, even if she didn't officially get like the $50,000, which I bet she probably did. I haven't seen who got who the post fight bonuses and whatnot. But there was even a picture of her in the back getting it, like, Dana White like approaching her after the fight. There's something being cooked up here, and I wouldn't be surprised if, like I said, even if she doesn't get one of the 50K bonuses, checks being cut tonight, and this looks like somebody that's going to get fast tracked. I mean, I already talked about the rare form power. This is what women's 115 pounds is missing, right? This is a huge selling point. A woman who goes out there with spectacular knockouts and big power. Dana White's going to get behind this, okay? And Al, I think you're right. We're going to see a lot of people ducking her, and it's going to be the Dana White strong arm. You're going to end up fighting Amanda Lemos, or you can fight somebody in Bellator, because listen, we got some people that are going to be getting ducked tonight. I mean, you might as well call her female Islam, because it's Duck City from here on out. And they even said in a post-fight interview, the biggest problem we have is just trying to get her a fight. You know what I mean? So Amanda Lemos, the real deal. I can't wait to see her fight again, and I'm expecting fairly similar results. I'm going to put it like this. Her next fight probably goes longer than 30 seconds, but I wouldn't be surprised if it also didn't. You know what I mean? Depending on the matchup. So phenomenal fight, phenomenal fighter. As good as a performance as it gets. The rare bleed double dip. ITD at plus money and the first leg of a parlay. Hey, listen, Al, I talk about that parlay of the week that I cash literally every week. Well, your boy had 2 of them tonight because it was that kind of a card. And you know what I did? I don't even need to say it, but it starts with cashed it and then finishes with me jumping up and down. So it's just the best. I can't wait. Let's keep it rolling here, Al. All right, so next fight of the night, Daniel Rodriguez, Preston Parsons. Kind of a non-event. Daniel Rodriguez comes in here, 3 minutes, 47 seconds on Preston Parsons, the KO TKO. Fun fight for as long as it lasted. Preston Parsons, short notice, a guy that kind of really, you'd look into this guy on paper, he had one path to victory here, and it's probably hitting the sub. He's got a problem, though, because Daniel Rodriguez is a 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu black belt and is the far superior striker. Preston Parsons lands a couple good leg kicks, lands a few good punches. Sure enough, Daniel Rodriguez, though, phenomenal counter striker. Just goes out here and takes him out. It was calculated. It was cold, calculated, meticulous. Daniel Rodriguez is the real deal. And I got to tell you guys something. Daniel Rodriguez is 15-2. But in my personal opinion, this is a guy that should be 17-0, okay? He's lost 2 fights in his career, both split decisions, and I don't agree with either one. I think this guy should be undefeated. And don't get me wrong, heavy favorite in this spot. Did I have him parlayed? Absolutely. Listen, I should have double dipped this one. I should have had Daniel Rodriguez on a parlay, and I should have had him inside the distance. I'm questioning how I didn't end up on Daniel Rodriguez inside the distance. Nonetheless, another parlay casher. Al, what'd you think of this fight, man?
This was another one I kicked myself because I was kind of taking the same approach as I mentioned with the Malcolm Gordon fight, where you got a huge favorite, and I just thought that Preston Parsons was going to be tough enough to be able to last 7.5 minutes because the over 1.5 was at a pretty decent price. But nope, Daniel Rodriguez, how it makes you think, how tough is 1, Mike Perry, and 2, Gavin Tucker. For Rodriguez to have a fight against Preston Parsons and just make Preston Parsons look like he didn't even want to be in there. He landed 2. Rodriguez landed like 2 good shots, and Parsons was like, putting his head down and doing the no mas. Like that was pretty pitiful. And I know he came in on short notice, but that's one of those fights where like there was value on Daniel Rodriguez at -340.
True.
And also that's one of those fights where someone's going to get freaking killed one time because it's Rodriguez should have been like a -1,000 favorite based on how that went. And the commission, that was what was it? What was the fight? It was Kevin Holland against that
Charlie Ontiveros.
Yeah, Charlie Ontiveros. Very similar to that, where just on a whole other stratosphere of ability, this is very similar to that, where it's just a huge mismatch. And kick myself for having that over. And Daniel Rodriguez, man, this is another guy, right, who's going to be ducked. Like he seems like he's just he needs to get himself a top 15 spot very shortly.
Yeah, well, he did have the matchup against Abubakar Nurmagomedov. That would have been a good fight. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they rebook that one, and we do end up seeing that at a later date. That was a really good matchup and a really intriguing spot. Preston Parsons, not a good showing. I feel like he showed us glimpses of what he's capable of, and I'm not going to knock the kid too much. Fighting against, like I said, a guy that I think should be 18-0, short notice. I think that. Give this guy a full camp. You know what I mean? Really, the UFC, when you come in, when you do the UFC a favor and you take a short notice fight on a week's notice like he did, they're not going to really hold that loss against you the way they would say you had an 8-week fight camp. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm not fading the dude entirely yet. Let's get him in there. Listen, not a step down. Let's get him in there against like 2 or 3 steps down from Daniel Rodriguez, because Daniel Rodriguez is a top 15 guy in my estimation. So D-Rod goes out there, did what he needed to do. Impressive performance, man. This guy's not to be slept on. This guy's not to be faded. And Let's like I said, I want to see him against that Nurmagomedov. I think that could be a really good fight. What do you think, Al? Do we roll on here?
Yeah, just one on a side note. So they gave out 6 performance bonuses tonight.
Ooh, that's interesting.
And
when has that ever happened?
I don't know. They must have been a good night, or Dana must have been in a good mood, or something.
8 finishes out of 10 fights. Dana was feeling it, wasn't he?
And he got his girl back, right? He got another marketable woman back, and she did really well. But anyways, Amanda Lemos did not get a bonus. Fight of the night was Benítez, Quarantillo,
sure,
Miesha Tate, Rodolfo Vieira, Mateusz Gamrot, and Rodrigo Nascimento. All got performance of the night bonuses.
Well, all right. Couple heads. I don't know if we needed six bonuses, but hey, Dana, do your thing. Everybody's complaining about fighter pay. He said, you know what? Let's throw an extra $100,000 in the mix tonight. So, cool. All right, let's roll along here. We are up to, man, we're already hitting the main card, man. We're flying. Oh boy, Al. Oh, this was a good bet. Billy Quarantillo or Quarantillo. You know what? Don't get me wrong. The way it's spelled, you want to say Quarantillo. I think it's actually pronounced Billy Quarantillo. Dominance. I tweeted out, this isn't a fight. This is felony assault. Al, I thought this fight was going to play out way closer than this. Another one, though, that I felt like was going to be a competitive fight. I said, I feel like it's going to be a good competitive fight. Billy Quarantillo was plus 170 a couple days ago. I don't get him quite at that number, but still a really good number. I want to say I got the guy plus 150. This dude comes out here and puts a ferocious beatdown on Gabriel Benítez. Billy Q looks like a revived man. And you know what? They talked about on the broadcast, you know, he had eye surgery, seeing clearly, and that striking looked vastly improved. You know, I'm imagining his depth perception and his precision now is just so much more on point that he's not seeing a blurry opponent. I'm so impressed with that Billy Q performance tonight. Gets the finish in round 3. Guys, I got to tell you what, I've cashed a Billy Q round 3 finish prop before, and I'm kicking myself I didn't have it tonight. Benítez is a tough dude. That's probably why I said, you know what, I felt like this probably goes to a decision. I felt like it was probably going to be close. Man, it wasn't. Billy Q goes out here and beats down Gabriel Benítez. Let's give Gabriel Benítez his props. He was losing the fight. He did land some good shots. He did. I mean, I think he actually scored a knockdown at one point. Man, Billy Q, though, this guy goes out there and he cooks you to the bone, all right? And listen, here's how I put it. Weaponized pace. Billy Q has weaponized pace, okay? This dude's greatest attribute is the fact that he is just literally a torrent of striking, and you're on your heels, and this guy's putting up triple-digit output continuously throughout the fight. I mean, he lands over 100 significant strikes in this one, I believe. Maybe not significant, but I'm guaranteeing you he landed over 100 strikes, generally speaking. Blows up the eye of Benítez, gets the finish, man. I've been high on Billy Q. I was actually very surprised. I bet Billy Q in his last fight against Gavin Tucker, and I was pretty shocked. Well, maybe shocked isn't the right word. Gavin Tucker, when he goes out there and fights good, is a good fighter. But I've been high on Billy Q, and I felt like this was going to be a good bounce-back fight. I didn't anticipate a beatdown on this level, though. This was some ultra-impressive stuff. Billy Q, another guy that after that against a dude as tough as Gabriel Benítez, a guy who's had success at lightweight, a guy who's a high-level kickboxer and just outright got out-kickboxed. Billy Q's the real deal. And I love the fact that when this guy gets it to the ground, it's not about hooks. This guy's locking you in with that body triangle. So he gets you down, he gets in a dominant position, and he keeps you there. Even the bummest of judge can't get it wrong when one guy's in total control and landing offense. You know, never once have I seen a guy who won a fight with someone on his back throwing punches behind his head trying to hit the guy in the face. It just doesn't happen. Like I said, even the worst judge, it don't matter who it is. I mean, Billy Q went out there, phenomenal performance, big underdog casher yet again. Man, I could not be more thrilled with Billy Q. Phenomenal bet. Al, give me your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I was on Billy Quarantillo too, and that was one of my shining spots, one of the rare shining spots for me. Yeah, he looked way better than he did against Gavin Tucker. And I think I said a second ago that Daniel Rodriguez against Gavin Tucker, those two definitely did not fight. I was thinking of Billy Quarantillo against Gavin Tucker, and yeah, he looked phenomenal. And Gabriel Benítez is no slouch. He's definitely not what he used to be, but he's tough, right? He's very, very tough. And for Quarantillo to finish him the way that he did and not just ride out a decision, yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised that he was the underdog in this fight. I was pretty confident, had a full unit on him in this one. Wish I bet him more. He cashed at plus 375 to win inside the distance. So he's 4-2 in the UFC, and a $100 bettor who's backed him to win inside the distance in all 6 of his fights has profited $840 with a 4-2 record, with all 4 of his wins. Right? Yeah, all 4 of his wins by stoppage. Or no, he has 3 of his 4 wins by stoppage. And then the Contender Series win by stoppage as well. So he has 4 of his last 5 by stoppage, not including the loss to Gavin Tucker. So he's deadly, and he definitely needs. This is another guy who needs He needs to be tested with more than just like a veteran. Now he needs a good challenge.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, the Billy Q money train, baby. It is righted and it is back on track. Choo choo, motherfuckers, buckle up. Billy Q's back and looking better than ever. Let's keep it rolling. Great fight, like you said, Al. That was fight of the night. Absolutely, man. I totally agree with that. Action-packed stuff. Billy Q is the real freaking deal. All right, well, I got to be honest, Al. If there was any fight I did not see playing out like this, this is the one. This is literally the only bet that I lost tonight. Rodolfo Vieira, 1 minute, 54 seconds of round 3, locks in the rear naked choke on Dustin Stoltzfus. Al, this is one that I felt like was going to be a money live bet, right? We've seen time and time again Rodolfo Vieira fall off a cliff. He slows down after round 1. I sat back, I waited. I said, if Stoltzfus can weather the storm round 1, he's probably pretty live to win this fight, maybe even get a finish. The fight plays out literally inversely of that. Stoltzfus wins round 1, right? Rodolfo Vieira not using takedowns, not using jiu-jitsu, bringing a really good jab. I mean, was jabbing up Stoltzfus, putting a lot of damage on him with a legit jab. But then sure enough, as the fight gets later, leans on that jiu-jitsu. Man, that round 3 back take, Al, that is one of the best back takes I've ever seen. And we're talking about an absolutely muscle-bound 185er who, I mean, kind of just grabs him by the head, swings his body over, hooks in, locks in an RNC with the quickness. And Rodolfo Vieira gets back on track, man. A pretty impressive win. I got to be honest, I still have questions. I still don't think he's that dude. Problems still persist, but nonetheless, he gets back on track. He beats Stoltzfus, has way more success on the feet than I was anticipating, but eventually gets the jiu-jitsu in effect. I want to say it was a good game plan. I want to say that this was fairly good execution, but I don't know if I can say that. The guy lost the first round. That's never a good look, and especially a guy that feels like a one-round fighter. Like, I bet there was a lot of people who were like, yo, this is not looking good. This guy was supposed to come out here and win this fight round 1. Here we are into round 2, going into round 3. Man, I just don't know. I still have questions, and I'm still going to err on the side of caution. Like I said, I live bet Stoltzfus after round 1, was feeling pretty good about it, but Vieira does what he does, locks in the RNC, gets the win. He's back on track. Al, what'd you think of this one, man?
Yeah, I had a bet on Stoltzfus and the under because I was kind of just trying to middle it with both sides on plus money. And Rodolfo Vieira, I thought, looked the best he's ever looked in a MMA cage. As far as a complete fighter, that jab that that Vieira had, his stand-up has improved immensely. And the wrinkle of his cardio kind of looked, he wasn't breathing insanely heavy going into that third round, but it was pretty frustrating to see Stoltzfus shooting on Vieira, and Vieira just timing him perfectly on a lot of those shots, and also just like being composed and kind of making offense out of those, out of getting taken down. And then on the stand-up, Stoltzfus is just waiting for Vieira to throw and trying to counter, but he just ends up being on the end of that jab every single time, and his guard is just getting, he's getting punched straight through his guard. And I know the reason that I was so heavy on Stoltzfus in this one was because how he taught, he looked so bad against Dawkins, and talking about how he had COVID and it took a long time for him to, recover. So I thought we were going to see a way better fighter. And I don't know. I don't know if he's UFC level. Just that for him to have been outstruck by a guy who's really only been fighting,
right,
professionally. Obviously Vieira is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu legend, but he has only been like professionally throwing punches for, this is his 9th fight.
Yeah.
And, it's just that one little sequence, I think it was at the end of the second round, where they were both standing and Stoltzfus is just trying to time that jab and waiting for him to punch, and then just getting punched in the face, and you're trying to set a trap like that, and you just end up getting your guard broken and getting punched in the face against a guy like that. That was one of those collar tug moments where I was like, this is pretty frustrating to watch. The thing about Vieira is they're trying to build him up, I can see, to just be one of those just an entertaining, just a different take, a unique fighter that they can throw in. John Anik said, a matchmaker's dream. And I think that's pretty much true. Is like, you can test guys with a guy like this who's still pretty much just trying to get his feet wet in MMA. And his 4 fights in the UFC, all 4 of them have ended by stoppage. So he's got 3 wins inside the distance, and then the 1 loss inside the distance. Fight goes the distance, no, cashed at -250. And it wasn't looking good for a little bit there, but I think that's one that, put a pin on that with Rodolfo Vieira going forward. If we can get any some good prices on that fight goes the distance no prop, because if this guy is able to, compose himself in those later rounds, and his opponent is the one that ends up tiring, like you said, that back take was just unbelievable. If he's able to do that kind of stuff to middling, lower ranked middleweights, he's going to be very dangerous as just a prize fighter. I don't know really what his future is, but he's a fighter. He's a UFC fighter, basically. I think he has the skills just because of how good he is on the ground, But in comparison to Stoltzfus, I think Stoltzfus honestly needs to he either needs to take a longer time away and sharpen up his tools, or go back onto the regional scenes to sharpen up, because that was not a good performance at all.
Yeah, well, and I tell you what, man, like, if Vieira would have done what he does and got the sub round 1, I'd have had a perfect betting night, okay? Like, I would have avoided the live bet on Stoltzfus, the only L I took on the night. So I'm a little bit irritated by the game plan. But like I said, I almost want to give Vieira credit, but I'm erring on the side of caution, man. The striking's absolutely improved. The game planning, the ability to not go for 6 takedowns and gas himself out, working in that first round. I'm going to give him props on that angle, but I don't know, man. I see Rodolfo Vieira losing some fights here still in the UFC. So I still think the guy's a bit one-dimensional. There's something going on mentally with this guy. There is a lack of confidence, a lack of, man, I just don't know what to put on it, but I just, there's something to it. The guy just doesn't, I don't know. He's just not passing the eye test for me totally, and I'm picking up on something. But hey, it is what it is. He needed to get back on track. He won the fight. Stoltzfus, yeah, Al, back against the wall. This guy's got to win his next outing, or he's out. You know what I'm saying? So good performance from Vieira, though. Props to the people who had him. But here's how I'm going to put it. If you had Vieira tonight at the money line, not a great bet. If you had him by sub, obviously the clear path to victory, not bad. But I don't know, man. I feel like the jury's still out. I'm not convinced. Still not convinced, but I do think he's on the path that he needs to be. And like you said, 9 pro fights. The dude's learning on the job. Maybe he pulls it together and does become a top-level guy, but I'm not sold yet. All right, let's keep it rolling here.
Oh.
We've got a buddy, Al. Folks, it's time for a victory lap, just straight up. If you watch this show, which I see you guys in the chat, the regulars, the homies, we talked about this 1 week ago, and I got to give you props, Al. You're the one who kind of cherry-picked this one from like a month out, right? Mateusz Gamrot, 1 minute and 5 seconds. Okay, if this was Mortal Kombat, flawless victory. Okay, this was a washout, absolute perfection. You could not ask for a better game plan, execution, and fight out of Mateusz Gamrot. Jeremy Stephens, the puncher's chance. I talked about it earlier tonight. The puncher's chance, and that's it. Mateusz Gamrot didn't even give the man a chance to throw a punch. Goes in, slings him down. Jeremy Stephens trying to use a Kimura to essentially reverse position, and my man gets Kimura'd himself. Mateusz Gamrot, the real deal. My God, this guy looked good. Like I said, 1 minute and 5 seconds of just absolute perfection. What is there to say other than I had him parlayed? You know it, baby. Big time casher. Another spot that I say to myself, why did I not take Gamrot inside the distance? I mean, it is what it is. Listen, I want it. Let's not get too greedy. Al, what'd you think, man?
Yeah, it was just so easy. Like it was just so easy. Like if you go look at his KSW record and look at the guys that he fought and what he did to them, and these are fights where he was like minus 300 favorites and just destroying some of these guys who could very well probably destroy Jeremy Stephens. And that was basically, I didn't do the numbers like I normally do for this fight until, after the videos that we did. I didn't do the numbers until this week. This was just a full-on gut call, because following a guy like Mateusz Gamrot before he got to the UFC and seeing what he was able to do, and you're looking at a guy who's like a minus 600 favorite against, really good fighters, Jeremy Stephens. It was just, this is a home run spot at minus 225. There was so much value on Gamrot. Like it was, I wish I bet more. This was just, this was a lock. And I never say that word. We usually say the L word, but this was a lock. Like Jeremy Stephens would have had to have hit Gamrot with like a steel chair to win this fight, because Jeremy Stephens isn't that good anymore. He used to be a mainstay, but like he's 0-5-1 in his last 6 fights. He's lost 3 of his last 6 fights by way of stoppage. He's 3-6 in his last 9 with the no contest to Yair. All 3 of those losses by stoppage. I put a pin on him against Calvin Kattar, because I saw what Calvin Kattar did to him, and I was just like, this guy's lost it. He's just there for a paycheck, really. And Gamrot, Jeremy Stephens is lucky that there wasn't any beef with Mateusz Gamrot, because Gamrot could have broken his arm with the way that inverted Kimura was. When you have that Kimura the other way, where you're pulling upwards on somebody's arm going backwards, you can do some serious damage. And Gamrot cashed at 11-1 odds, plus 1,100 to win by submission, which is that's.
Let me tell you, you ain't getting that one next time.
It seems like that kind of, it just seemed like that. There's a ton of value on that prop, because it seemed kind of obvious that was going to be what he was going to do. I know a lot of people thought that he's just going to smash Jeremy Stephens and turn him into soup, but with ground and pound. But yeah, that submission prop, oh man, 11-1 odds. But yeah, it cashed at plus 175 to win inside the distance. And man, this is the guy. You got to fast track this guy, because he's pretty old. He's like 33, I think. So we got to fast track this guy in the lightweight division, because he's very, very, very special. And now that we got a win under his belt, we can get him going and get him. I don't know. I would honestly say I would say it's kind of it's a big step, but I would say Thiago Moises would probably be a decent opponent. I want to see him get a decent step up. What do you think?
Oh yeah, he's definitely getting a step up. Absolutely, man. Yeah, I mean, and you know what? One point I got to bring up: Mateusz Gamrot, a guy with a single loss on his record. Not really. He won that fight against Kutateladze, right? I mean, I really think so. Similar to the Daniel Rodriguez situation, where the judges are the reason why this guy's not still undefeated. And it blows my mind, and it's so irritating that you don't get to market this guy. We know how important it is for a guy to be undefeated. It makes you so much more marketable, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And Khabib's still that guy, the only one who ever came into this game and left unblemished. You know what I mean? So speaking of which, how does this speak volumes? Because we were supposed to get Kutateladze tonight. He was supposed to fight tonight. How good is that guy based off the fact that he did have a close fight with Mateusz Gamrot? You know what I mean? So, man, yeah, it's going to be a step up. I'll tell you what, though, Thiago Moises, after getting rode around like he did against the Dagestani tonight, I don't know if he's looking at a matchup with a grappler on that level going, give me that one. You know what I mean? So, Al, this is one that we had pegged for, a month at least, and sure enough comes through with just absolute flying colors. Like I said, flawless performance. And link up the caboose. Chugga, chugga, choo, choo. We're talking money train, boys. If you ain't on him already, buckle up. Because I'm going to keep cashing these tickets. This dude is the truth. Al, is there anything you want to say, or should we roll on here?
No, and then this was another. This was for me. Like, this is the type of parlay where I was like messaging my friends who aren't into MMA and was like Gamrot, Miesha Tate, and I was all over that one. Let's move on.
All right, next fight of the night we had. Oh yeah, I can't believe we're already up to the co-main event. Miesha Tate. TKO ground and pound, minute 53, round 3 over Marion Reneau. I had a bet on Miesha Tate. And I got to tell you, in retrospect, as this fight's getting ready to pop off, I'm saying to myself, I'm going, God, was this a bad move? I'm betting on Miesha Tate, a fighter who we haven't seen in 5 years, who honestly looked terrible in her last fight in the UFC. Didn't want it anymore, had no desire. I mean, just kind of a quit job, right? I guess I bought into what Miesha Tate was trying to sell all week, which she said, I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm a better fighter now. My striking's improved. Straight up, I was blown away by the performance of Miesha Tate tonight, okay? This was absolutely Miesha Tate's best performance of her career. I mean, Marion Reneau, 44 years old, retirement fight out the door, but a game fighter, a skilled fighter. Miesha Tate showed drastic improvement in her striking. Used the takedowns when necessary. Eric Nixick, her coach. Miesha Tate, I'm just blown away. I mean, I got to say it again. I cannot believe she came out and looked that good. I thought this fight plays out closer than that. You know, what I thought might be a sketchy, questionable bet ended up being an absolute home run value play. Miesha Tate, utter dominance, and I can't wait to see her get in there again. Al, what'd you think?
Oh yeah, she looked unbelievable, and it's so interesting how she opened up as an underdog, and then she ended up becoming like a minus 220 favorite, and then a whole bunch of money came in on Reneau for her to come back to like that minus 155, minus 150 range, and I thought that was it was a solid play, and this is the thing. The thing about Miesha Tate is she stayed in the business, right? She stayed with one championship. She was always training, always doing her own thing, always staying with the game as it was evolving, training with active fighters and stuff like that. And, that's why it looked like she didn't miss a step. The difference between someone like Miesha coming back versus someone like Ronda coming back, Ronda Rousey probably couldn't beat Ciara Eubanks right now. Seriously, I'm 100% serious.
And you might be right, Al. I mean, the sport's grown so much,
exactly,
and that's a lot of the worry I had with Miesha Tate. If it was the same old Miesha Tate, she could have came in here and lost tonight.
Yeah, and she looks like Miesha. She looked like she's never left. It looked like she was better than she did in that Raquel Pennington fight. It looks like she's competed in the UFC this entire time, and a 6-4 record in the UFC. Apart from the Strikeforce, the Strikeforce record, now she's she erased that losing streak, and with this win, you got to think she's at least taking Marion Reneau's spot in the rankings, if not higher, right? I wouldn't have a problem with them putting her like 7th, I think the fight to make that makes the most sense is probably Irene Aldana, but Irene Aldana missed weight, so I think that they probably won't reward her. Maybe Yana Kunitskaya, but coming off a loss, that's not that good of a fight for her. But Holly Holm, right? The rematch from what was it? That was the title fight that McGregor Diaz, which was a non-title fight, was the main event.
I remember it well.
Yeah, and Tate Holm was the co-main event as the title fight. But yeah, that I guess that fight makes the most sense. But you're kind of putting her Tate on the super fast track. But I mean, look what we've done to Conor McGregor, right? Conor McGregor is 1-4 in the lightweight division, and has had knocking on the door of a title shot anytime he gets a win in the division. So yeah, I feel like she probably needs one more test to make sure that just the 44-year-old opponent, it wasn't just like a handpicked. But Marion Reneau, if you put that woman in front of you and said guess her age, I would never guess she was that old. She looks. She doesn't, even just like with the way she looks in the cage, she doesn't look that bad. She's game. She's tough. She's not incredibly skilled as far as just her all around. She's a heavy-handed hitter, but yeah, I would say, I don't know. I would say it's really hard because the bantamweight is so shallow, and there's a huge drop off between like the first 7 and down. So yeah, I would say probably put her in give her like seventh in the division. And I would say, yeah, either Kunitskaya or I guess Aldana, or if Pena loses, when Pena loses to Amanda Nunes, yeah, otherwise, like, I don't know, does she fight Pennington again? Like, even then is a step down based on what I know. They're going to just try to put her on the fast track because Amanda Nunes isn't going to be around for much longer, right? And that's obviously the fight that everybody wants. That's the fight that the UFC wants to make, is Miesha Amanda too. And yeah, I don't know. I think based on what we saw tonight, that she's probably good enough to compete at that top level of the bantamweight division. But as far as fighting Amanda Nunes, I don't know. I don't know. It's intriguing because so much time has passed, and yeah, the UFC seems to love rematches right now. So yeah, I could tell that that's the path that they want to put her on. We'll probably see either her versus Holm or her versus Nunes before she retires again. What do you think about that?
I mean, listen, if she looks as good as she did tonight, she probably, I could see her getting back to the title picture. Do I think she beats Amanda Nunes? No. Do I think that she could get there? Based off what I saw tonight, man, she looked pretty damn good. I don't think they're going to rush her quite into that yet. I mean, let's keep it real. This was Marion Reneau out the door. And in retrospect, feels like a setup fight to get Miesha Tate back on track. But, like I said, there was not a lot out there. I mean, there wasn't really anything that would lead you to say to have a thought that Miesha Tate was going to come out and look this good tonight, So other than taking her word for it, which, man, she wasn't lying. But yeah, I think, like you said, marketable, known. Miesha Tate's going to get some good fights, man. And I'm very high on what I saw. Like I said, in my personal opinion, I think that's the best Miesha Tate has ever fought. I mean, that was a Miesha Tate. I'm not even going to say 2.0. That was like Miesha Tate 3.0 with an expansion package download. You know what I mean? Like, she looked damn good tonight. And yeah, she's going to be back in there soon. Didn't take a lot of damage, fought high IQ, really good striking, way better movement, way better distance. Put their opponent up against the cage, the timing of the takedowns, the ability to hit the takedowns. I mean, that really opened my eyes for this performance we got out of Miesha Tate tonight. And yeah, I think she's going to make waves. I think she's going to make noise. And, coming back after a big layoff, she's not a young fighter. She's still going to be one of the older women in this division. So I'm imagining they're not going to waste time, and they're probably going to step on the gas and, milk her for everything she's worth up to this point, So yeah, I think we're going to see Miesha Tate sooner than later. And wow, I cashed the bet on her, man, and I'm very happy. Reneau, That's the end of that 5-fight losing streak, retirement fight, 44 years old. Again, hindsight's 2020, but wow, Miesha Tate looked great. Should we move on, Al?
Oh yeah, absolutely. This next one was, I gotta say, just not. It wasn't very good for me. I'm pretty embarrassed to even talk about it, to be honest.
That's how it goes sometimes. Yeah. So Islam Makhachev. Are there any doubters left? I mean, Islam Makhachev, rear naked choke, 2 minutes 38 of round number 4. Yeah, I had him parlayed up with who? Mateusz, Gamrot. Keep it real. Phenomenal parlay, absolute casher, caps off an incredible night for me. Yeah, he's the heir apparent. I mean, the guy's lost one fight. He overextended, got caught. Again, a fight that I think probably got stopped too soon. I think a fight he probably recovers and goes on to win. What is there to say? Here's something I got to say. If you watch the final countdown before this card, you probably heard me say, I think you split a unit between a round 4 Makhachev finish and a round 5 Makhachev finish. Round 4 plus 1,200. I could feel it in my bones. Al, my God, it comes through. Folks in the chat, if you watched it, if you placed that bet, because listen, I watched the chat, right? People said, yo, I like it. I hit it. I mean, if you're cashing a half unit plus 1,200 on Islam Makhachev, it probably doesn't matter how you did gambling on any of these other fights. You probably came out profitable tonight. Islam, he's huge for this division. His wrestling, now that Khabib's gone, probably the best. His Dagestani jiu-jitsu, just next level. I mean, Thiago Moises absolutely got saved by the bell at the end of the second round. That armbar from Mount, that transition, literally the exact same situation we saw Khabib hit Justin Gaethje with. From Mount, they get the leg up over the shoulder, and they either get to choose. Do I want triangle? Do I want armbar? Whichever presents itself, they go for. Thiago Moises, you know, he survives. The sky's the limit. You know, I think Islam Makhachev, like I said, I've said it for weeks. I've said it for years, honestly. It's just a matter of time. The guy's the most ducked fighter in UFC history. I'll applaud Thiago Moises for even getting in here and taking the fight. The only thing that slows down Islam Makhachev is the inability to get people to go into that octagon with him. I mean, imagine essentially fighting a guy with Khabib's skill set, but doesn't sell like Khabib. You're not getting the name value. You're not getting the payday. I mean, it's like a lose-lose situation to go in there and fight this dude. But at this point, they're just going to have to strong arm. They got to get the guy fights. The biggest, like I truly believe the biggest opponent to Islam Makhachev not getting gold is the fact that people just refuse to fight the guy.
Yeah.
Man, phenomenal performance. You know, Moises had a couple good looks. I mean, you know, worked for a leg lock at one point. Other than that, all one-way traffic. Islam Makhachev, he's the truth. He's the real deal. He's the heir apparent. Khabib is gone. It's okay. We've got Islam Makhachev. Al, tell me what you think of this guy.
Oh yeah, he's on. It's like, when you, the phrase "the sky is the limit" is used too much. Obviously, it's like a joke almost to us. But when you look at the rankings and you go through them and you look at potential opponents, you know, Dan Hooker probably won't take it. Obviously, Connor, no. RDA, who he called out, no. I mean, he'll probably have to, but like Tony, no. Chandler, probably not. Dariush, maybe. Gaethje, probably not. Like, these are all guys that, you know, why they're just saying, why would they want to fight him? And these are all guys that are above him in the rankings, but they're, you know, there's obviously a fear of this guy, right? And he's just fighting down the rankings his entire career. And the reason that I say that I was embarrassed is because I was on Moises in this fight. And the reason that I was because just, the same thing that I've said many times. When I'm on a fighter, he cashes. You just let it ride. And I was on Moises against Michael Johnson, against Bobby Green, against Hernandez, and those are all at big plus money. So, and I also thought, Drew Dober. You compare Drew Dober, who Makhachev was only like a minus 400 favorite against. I feel like with some weird MMA math, you compare Dober's ability to finish a fight as compared to Moises, and I feel like Moises probably had more tools than Dober, and Moises is a bigger underdog. So I was slightly on Moises here, and just not. I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did. It seemed like a lesser fighter probably would have been finished a lot sooner. And Makhachev with the cashed at plus 145 to win inside the distance, plus 380 to win by decision. 9-1 in the UFC since 2015, since his debut in 2015, with 5 of his 9 wins coming by stoppage. He now has, he had it before this fight, but he has the second longest lightweight division winning streak, second to Charles Oliveira. And I was just thinking when they showed that, how amazing would a Islam Makhachev Charles Oliveira fight be? Like, that's just a purist's dream. That's just a unbelievable fight. And Oliveira is the type of guy that if Makhachev is able to get up the ranks, he won't duck him because he's the champ. But yeah, that's a super fight in my opinion. Makhachev, as far as just all around MMA purist, and just as a fan of the sport, that's an unbelievable fight. And inside the distance between, I mean, he's on a roll now where we've seen him, with these stoppage victories. It almost seems like when we saw him in the corner, in his corner with being told, your stand up is great. You can probably go 25 minutes and just pick this guy apart, but they want to finish. So go to the chain wrestling, go to what's made you who you are, and put this guy away. And he's. I mean, who's gonna beat him? To be honest, like out of those guys that I mentioned, Hooker, McGregor, RDA, Chandler, Ferguson.
Oh my gosh, Ferguson. Hey, I honestly, you just sparked something now. I saw some, which don't get me wrong, it's not the UFC saying this, but I saw people, hey, they should have Tony Ferguson fight Islam. It's like the closest thing we'd ever get to Tony Habib. Do you have any idea what Islam Makhachev would do to the corpse, the ghost, the imposter, Tony Ferguson? That the 2021 Tony Ferguson, I mean, just the final nail in the coffin. I mean, literally start casket shopping. Islam Makhachev would tear mentally disabled Tony Ferguson limb from limb. Okay, and I'm here for it. I think it's a great fight. I mean, Tony Ferguson, even on a losing streak, is still name value and even probably rankings above a Thiago Moises. It's not a crazy thought. And let me tell you something. If Tony Ferguson took that fight, it'd be the biggest mistake of his life. I mean, Islam Makhachev, there's one path to victory to beat this guy. And it's you do what Adriano Moraes did and you hit that lucky puncher's chance, right? But I got bad news for people, okay? Because when it comes to the UFC lightweight division, Islam Makhachev absorbs the least amount of significant strikes of any fighter there's ever been. So statistically speaking, you have, of anyone on the roster, the smallest chance of knocking this dude out because he doesn't get hit. So how do you beat the guy? Puncher's chance combined with he doesn't get hit. How can the dude lose? I mean, just straight up. And don't get me wrong. It's cage fighting. Stuff could happen. I honestly feel like right now, the Islam we're seeing, this guy's most probable way to lose is like cut stoppage. You know, somebody hits him with an elbow, he does something, he gets a cut to the eye. Because I really don't see somebody outright going out there and beating this guy. I mean, I really do think it's inevitable. Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira, maybe somebody beats him along the way. But if you were to ask me, what are the odds that at some point in his life, Islam Makhachev wears UFC gold? I'm putting that, and I'm not even kidding, we're talking minus 3,500. I mean, I just think I really do believe it's an inevitability. Islam Makhachev will be a champion. Here's another thing I'm going to throw out there. This dude's so huge. He's cutting so much weight. And I'm going to take this opportunity right now to plant this seed. And if you guys would like to come back to this video in maybe a year and a half, 2 years, I think there's a chance we're talking about this guy not just being a champion at 155. I think there's a chance that this guy can end up being your champion at welterweight as well, right? As he gets older, as the weight cut continues to get harder, I think this guy can be your 155-pound champ. I think at some point he can move up and be your 170-pound champion. And who's to say that this guy can't do both at the same time? I mean, that's how high I am on Islam Makhachev. What is there left to say? I think I've said it all, Al. Hit me with anything that I haven't said. Al, is there anything more I can say about how high I am on I'm going to call him the Prince of Dagestan, Islam Makhachev?
Yeah, like if he were to move up, you know, he's only 29 years old, so there is a pretty good chance that he will have to move up because of just about his frame. And if he moves up, I feel like there's more opportunities for matchups because it's just a complete logjam at lightweight, and all these guys don't want to fight him. You know, he called out RDA, and I guess that's the fight that makes the most sense. And that would probably be the last time that we'll see Rafael dos Anjos because Makhachev is just going to destroy him. And hopefully he's not as big of a favorite as he is as he was in this fight. And yeah, basically the only guy that I would favor against him is Khabib. You know, like I would say Oliveira probably an underdog, right?
Oof. Damn, Al, dude, that's a great question, man. I don't know. I mean, well, first off, listen, I don't even know if that's Oliveira's got to get past Poirier first. You know what I mean? So, but man, theoretically speaking, Al, dude, that's a tough one, man. Like, you know, Oliveira looks so damn good. Gosh, you might be right, though. I mean, depending on who Islam fights between now and then, if Oliveira can hold on to that gold, Al, you might be right, man. We might be talking about a situation where the challenger comes in the favorite over the reigning champion. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. I'll be honest. I think even right now, I favor him. I favor Islam to beat Charles Oliveira. I think Oliveira is going to have to do something real slick, and he's going to have to find probably a real rare sub, just a position where he's going to have to catch Islam. And man, I really don't catch his chance. I don't like his chances. I mean, this guy showed us tonight his ability to nullify submission attempts, and you're going to be on bottom. You know what I mean? It's not like Oliveira is going to be on top of him and hit an armbar. you're going to be on bottom. It's just that simple. I mean, this guy picked up and laid down Thiago Moises the way you put a 4-year-old to bed who fell asleep on the car ride home. You know what I mean? Like, this dude is just it. All right. And I've seen enough. Islam's the future. I've been shouting it from the rooftops for a couple years now. And sure enough, it's manifesting. And we saw it tonight. And minus what? He went off minus 700. Might as well have been minus 7,000. I mean, minus 700 was value. Okay. Speaking of which, I got to say this, and this is not a joke. I saw a tweet from a man, Rockstar Z, right? Z's MMA on Twitter. I believe the number he said he saw in his book was Islam Makhachev live going into the 4th round, minus 50,000. Okay. I mean, are you kidding me? That is insanity mode. Yeah, Islam Makhachev. I hope I threw into the people tonight, man. I hope a lot of people through that unit, that half unit, that quarter unit on round 4. Great numbers. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Islam Makhachev probably getting main events from here on out, probably getting 5-round fights. My man's going a solid 5. And those round 4 and 5 props, I'm gonna be sizing up and looking to hit just about every time, unless I think he's gonna go out there and just blow through a guy before we even see championship rounds. But Al, should we start taking a look ahead? Is there anything you want to add to the legend of Islam Makhachev?